Live 302, a fire in East Orange has destroyed a fine fare grocery store there. Firefighters still working to put out the flames.
It started around 1 at the store located at South Orange Avenue and Brookdale Avenue. It's believed the flames started in the basement, but a cause has not yet been determined. Business owners nearby, including the owner of a recording studio, are watching and hoping those flames don't spread.
My lights work, my recording studio. So
it's right next door.
Right next door. You know what I mean? So them putting out this fire means a whole bunch to me. I wish I had a hose so I could go over there and jump in.
The fine fare was open at the time the fire started. No injuries reported. People were evacuated from homes and restaurants nearby.
There's things happening that everywhere, you always hear about stuff in the news.
Anytime you hear about any kind of crime on or near a college campus, it's concerning. But most college students going to most New Jersey universities say for the most part, they feel safe at school.
I always see police walking around. They do a great job.
I feel generally safe, but I always make sure I look around, make sure that there's nobody watching or anything like that.
But with many universities the size of small cities or within urban areas, crime happens. But how bad is it? We looked at data from the U.S. Department of Education's website. The most recent reporting year was 2013. We focused on New Jersey's 4 largest universities, all with more than 10,000 full-time students: Rutgers University, Montclair, Rowan, and Kean. And we looked at only on-campus criminal offenses. We found the most popular of those offenses across the board was burglary, with Rutgers reporting 75 of them in 2013, Montclair 46, Rowan reported 17, and Kean 6, way down from previous years at that school. Forcible sex offenses or rape were also too common. Rutgers had 21, Montclair reporting 4, Rowan 7, and Kean 6. And aggravated assaults rounded out the top 3 offenses, with 6 at Rutgers, 5 at each Montclair and Rowan, and Kean reporting just 1 in 2013. There were no manslaughter or murder cases reported at any of those schools within the years we received data for. That's 2011 through 2013. An interesting note, while some crimes like burglaries went down during those years at many of the schools, rapes either stayed the same or went up over the last few years. It is important to point out those are the numbers that are reported by the universities themselves and do not take into account whether those cases were prosecuted or not. Many colleges and universities also offer campus safety and security programs. They work with local police to solve and prevent crimes and to educate students and parents on how to best protect themselves both on and off campus. Marcy Rubin, News 12, New Jersey.
A new transportation service is rolling out in Essex County. The TransUnion car service has officially launched in New Jersey, creating the first union-based taxi system in the state. Called TCS, the dispatch base is comprised of drivers who are members of the New Jersey Labor Union. Officials say the new service not only offers riders a safe, convenient commute, but benefits the workers behind the wheel.
Even further than that, this is the first one in the country that is owned actually by the drivers in an ESOP. They own the company, so they're investing in themselves. All the money that they put in for their weekly basis pays for the operations of the business and also goes into a retirement fund for them so they can retire with some kind of dignity.
Officials say a TCS mobile app, website, and electronic dispatching system will generate more rides for customers. Their new headquarters is located in Newark on Central Avenue.
I'm here at the New Jersey Convention and Expo Center, where they're hosting a fossil, gem, and jewelry exhibit. I have the privilege of standing here right next to the star of the show. Ivan here is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. From nose to the tip, he is 40 feet long and an estimated weight of 10 to 30,000 pounds. Now, if dinosaurs quite aren't your thing, they have everything at this exhibit, from gems to jewelry found across the state and in other parts of the country. They even have a dark UV room where you can see an extensive collection of glow-in-the-dark minerals. There's something here for everybody, and we spoke to the organizer, and after their 3rd year, they say they keep getting bigger and better.
A lot of folks don't know that New Jersey leads the world in production of glow-in-the-dark minerals, and it's working out pretty well. We're getting a lot of families out here because we're catering to both children and advanced collectors.
As he said, this exhibit is for everyone, from kids to families to adults. Come on down, you'll never know what you'll discover. And who knows, maybe you'll want to take Ivan home for a slight fee. For now, in Edison at the New Jersey Convention and Expo Center, I'm Laureen Callender, News 12, New Jersey.
UFC fighters will be sporting some new threads in the octagon soon thanks to recent deals struck with Reebok. The Street caught up with several of the sport's biggest stars and the team at Reebok to find out why they are especially excited for this new product.
All my wardrobe malfunctions, near wardrobe malfunctions occurred with Lululemon stuff, which, you know, it's really good and that's really flexible and it lasts a long time, but, you know, it's just not made for fighting, it's made for yoga. And it's the same thing with a whole lot of other brands, they're just not made specifically for that. And so you can't take something that's tailored for one sport and use it in another and expect it to be perfect.
Women aren't the only MMA fighters excited about the new deal at Reebok. UFC President Dana White told us that even the male fighters had issues with the quality of their clothes.
We would have guys that had their sponsors all over their shorts. Before the first bell would ring, a guy's sponsor was hanging half off the back of his shorts. Everything was cluttered up. It looked terrible. There's uniformity now. This thing's going to look clean. No more banners rolling down behind the fighters. There was a time and a day for that. Now is not the time. This is the right deal at the right time.
Right now, it's an exciting time for Reebok. We've totally focused the company on some emerging sports that really connect with our consumer, and that's the sport of CrossFit, the sport of obstacle racing through our Reebok Spartan race, and now with combat training, we're here to launch the new look of mixed martial arts. And these are just a few examples of how Reebok is really connecting with the consumer who's kind of dedicated themselves to living a fit and healthy life.
The quality of clothes is not the only problem the UFC is facing. Recently, New York passed a vote continuing to ban the UFC from fighting in the state.
The taxes that we would pay in New York, the venues that we would go to, not just Madison Square Garden. We're going to go to Rochester. We're going to go to Buffalo. You know, we're going to go to Syracuse, and it's dirty, man. Fights are still happening in the state of New York, unregulated. So the fighters are not being looked after with the proper medical attention to make sure that they're getting paid properly, and there's no jobs created from it, and the list goes on and on of all the negative things. And what these guys did is they said, you're going to need 76 votes. We got 76 votes. They said, no, now you're going to need 78 votes. We got 78 votes. Then after we got 78 votes, they said, everybody's going to have to be present here to vote. It's just, it was the dirtiest, most blatant thing I've ever seen, and that is New York politics.
So are you hopeful for 2016?
No. No, these guys are dirty, blatantly dirty, and they don't care.
For The Street, this has been Brian Sozzi.
For those of us in the Western world, powering our lives seems almost automatic. But for the billions of people globally living in energy poverty, the lack of large company infrastructure or government investment leaves them with few options. New York startup BioLite is working to change the energy market structure.
In emerging markets, we think that energy is going to be owned by the individual and that it's going to be purchased in these bite-sized, affordable portions that get owned and controlled at the family level.
Using their own patented technology, BioLite is creating clean energy solutions that allow low-income consumers to generate their own off-grid power. But with 4 million deaths a year linked to indoor pollution, this power source cuts out the smoke that traditional biomass fuels produce.
With our technology and the air injection, we're able to reduce that smoke by 90% and really make an impactful benefit on human health.
Here's how it works. The thermal energy from the burning stove powers an internal fan, which changes the combustion level and generates a clean burning flame. Users can then charge their electronic devices via a built-in USB. The outdoor camping stove retails for $130 in Western markets, while the larger home stove is sold in India and sub-Saharan Africa for just $50. It's a business model that BioLite calls parallel innovation.
What we're able to do is take this higher margin, near-term, accessible, well-developed market and use the revenue from that market to reinvest not in a charity model for emerging markets, but in the one-time investments it takes to get those markets to the scale where they can sustain themselves.
The company has raised $10 million so far, with Acumen, Deutsche Bank and RRE Ventures contributing to their latest $5 million round. Next up is a move into energy storage. Over 2.5 billion people have little to no access to electricity. BioLite's latest development allows people to store electricity from their stove to power electric lighting. The renewable energy sector is growing at its fastest ever pace, according to the latest numbers from the International Energy Agency. and is expected to fuel 26% of global electricity by 2020.
We need to continue to see as the cost trajectory continue to decline. It's very possible, by 2050 or so, where you can see a majority of our energy needs coming from renewables. And I think at this point, it's just going to take time.
But the hefty initial investment costs, large government subsidies required, and falling price of oil are causing renewable investments to decline in many developing countries. So though the demand for energy in emerging markets is huge, the need for innovation is just as big. In New York, I'm Amelia Martin Hempel for The Street.